Okay, hear me out here. So I can guarantee you almost every single one of you guys watching this right now, somewhere along the lines in your Rust history, you've lived or built a 2x2. Heck, there might even be a few of you guys right now sitting in their 2x2 looking on YouTube for a base to build for the wipe. But I'm here to tell you to stop building 2x2s. Hey, how's it going everybody? Taco from Taco Tuesday here, and today we are building a solo starter base. Here is a 2x2, and in my opinion, these things are overrated and overused, and here's why. The first piece of reasoning behind my claim is they virtually cost nothing to raid. In fact, they only cost 4 rockets to expose all 4 squares. Next, these things are extremely expensive to expand. To put this in perspective, to go from a simple 2x2 with a few doors inside to a 2x2 with a singular layer of honeycomb on all sides including the ceiling, you're going to need a whopping 9,000 stone for that upgrade. And finally, these things are really boring to do the interior for. Let's be honest, most of your guys' 2x2s, and mine as well, look like this because we as Rust players are really lazy, and once we place those small boxes down, we're not picking them back up. Contrasting all the downsides to the 2x2, here's what I'm bringing to the table for this video: my starter base. And the name of this base is the overpowered solo starter base, intended for really outgoing people who understand that 2x2s inherently suck, or for short, Asbifra. Okay, so why do I believe that this base exceeds the strengths of a 2x2? So to start off, we gotta look at the stats. For the starter cost, it's gonna be 2,600 stone and 460 wood, just to set up the initial starter base. Now when the base is fully built, such as the base on screen, it's gonna cost you 6,900 stone, 1,600 wood, and 1,900 metal frags. This also includes the costs I labeled before. And despite the base being so cheap, it's actually pretty expensive to raid, costing an average of 16 rockets. Once again, this is an average. It can actually go down to a minimum of 14 and a maximum of 18, depending on where you're raiding from. I'll prove this later in the video. Now, what makes this base fairly unique compared to the other bases that you might find on YouTube is every single component has been placed for a reason. So the walls, the ceilings, the type of material, I've spent hours trying to figure out how can I make this base the strongest it can be. For example, here's what I like to call roof splitters, and I created these for the use of breaking the rocket splash. So when a raider tries to rocket your roof, the low walls will absorb some of the rocket splash and the raider will be unable to hit all the tiles. Another thing, unlike most base designs, this design only uses metal when it's needed. As a solo player myself, I know how difficult it is to get smelted metal, and it's a really bad practice to just make your base entirely metal and then call it 30 rockets. So I only used metal in the most strategic spots. So here's a quick tour of the base. To start it off, we got ourselves a singular sheet metal door, that way we can easily look outside and it's harder to get door camped. What's cool about our airlock over here is if you open up the door to the right and the front door, you can get a little crack here that you can shoot through, but nobody can run inside. Into our second airlock, we have a few dump boxes here which are really useful if you're out farming or PvPing. You can quickly drop off your loot here. Now opening up that double door there, we'll be taken into our crafting room. In this room, you pretty much have everything you need for utilities in terms of workbench, your furnaces, your resource storages, and you also have a bag in here for a friend or, you. And on this door to the left, we have ourselves our door jump room, which I'll show you what that does in a second. For now, we'll close this door to the right, and in these double doors, we have some storage. It's up to you on how you want to compose these storage rooms. You can do large boxes, small boxes, or even a mix between the two. Onto our door jump, how this basically works is you're going to stand on top of this small box here and open the door to the right and jump on top of it. This will allow you to have access to the doors on top. So we're going to jump in this room right here, and as you see, more storage as well as our cupboard. So we're going to be doing a second floor cupboard for this base build, and our starter actually does account for this, so stay tuned for that. Right up here to the right is going to be taking us to our final destination in this base. As you can see here, we have ourselves another bag, which can of course be used for you or your friend. And off here to the right, we have ourselves some more storage, and I'm going to emphasize this now, but if you do end up building this base, make sure you split off your loot, because it makes it that much harder to raid. Anyways guys, let's move on. So before I give you guys the tour, I mentioned the roof splitters, and I wanted to show you guys how these work because they are a relatively new concept. I haven't really seen them on YouTube anywhere, so I'm just going to call them a new concept. But basically what these do is they split off rocket fire. So theoretically, pretend that I am a raider who is on a raid tower or a hill. And if these low walls weren't here, I would just simply splash rockets against all the roof tiles, and I'd just blow down the entire roof. But as you see here, if I go ahead and shoot a rocket, and I go ahead and check the health of each individual ceiling, only some of them are actually damaged, so it appears that the triangle and the square on the right side are the ones that are damaged, and just by luck, this triangle here. So the benefit to actually having these roof splitters implemented onto my base is the fact that it just causes the raiders to use double the rockets. Originally, like I said earlier, the raiders could have just simply splashed the middle of the roof and they could have taken down all the ceiling tiles, but with the splitters here, now they cannot. Also, earlier I mentioned that the average raid cost was 16 rockets on a range from 14 to 18 rockets. I'm actually going to derive this for you guys, that way I don't get any criticism in the comments. Of course, there's going to be the typical kid that talks about how he can use a jackhammer to raid it with 0 rockets, but whatever. Anyways, so the most common way people are going to raid this is by going just straight for the loot rooms, so these side square pods right here. And I'm going to show you each little rocket fire right now. There we go, these 2 loot rooms are now exposed right here. And there you go, there are those last 2 loot rooms and the cupboard. So like I said, average of 16 rockets, it can actually go down to a minimum of around 14 rockets. This can actually vary depending on how you built it, so if you built it with garage doors, unlike this one, you will actually have your minimum be 16. Also, there's one thing I wanted to emphasize about this base. Behind these 2 stone walls here is a ceiling. So the reason for the ceiling being here is because if the ceiling isn't there, then the raiders will have access to all 4 walls and rocket splash. So the ceiling splits off the 2 layers. One pressing concern that I can see making the comment section is raiding through the doors. So, like I said before, my averages are calculated using rockets. However, not many people actually raid sheet metal doors using rockets, they use satchel charges, and it is actually 20% cheaper sulfur-wise to raid using satchel charges on this base. One way I'd go about countering this weakness is by simply expanding your base. Even adding like 2 to 3 more airlocks can pretty much eliminate this weakness. Another way, which is less probable for a solo player, is just simply replacing sheet metal double doors with garage doors. Of course, you have to have the BP, but this would dramatically increase the raid cost. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how to build this. So you're going to want to have 3,000 stone on hand because the base will actually cost around 2,700 stone. You're also going to want to have 2,500 wood, 1,000 wood for your cupboard, 500 for some expenditures, and 1,000 for these structures. Start off with a square foundation and go ahead and place 2 wall frames right on top of each other vertically. Then go ahead and do the same thing on the other sides, except for this time you're just going to use normal walls. Upgrade everything to stone or whatever resource you have on hand. Then place in 2 double doors, whether it be sheet metal or wood. Next, you're going to want to place a set of stairs right here, and then jump on top, close the door behind you, and place a floor ceiling right here. Then go ahead and place in your cupboard on any of the corners, and cap it off with a ceiling. When you're ready to expand, go ahead and place a triangle foundation right outside, another triangle to the left, and on top of that triangle, a square. Between the 2 square foundations, just fill it in with another triangle. Go ahead and attach the honeycomb triangles on the edge of the 2 connected triangles. Your foundations should look like so. Keep in mind that you're going to want to use the initial square to smelt up some metal. Once you got some smelted up, upgrade these 2 triangles to metal, and this back one over here as well to metal. The rest can be stone. Now that you have some metal on hand, you can go ahead and upgrade the top layer square to metal. You should be able to upgrade 3 walls and a ceiling. When you're ready to expand, go ahead and place in the outer perimeter walls. Make sure you leave in a doorway. We'll be leaving out the honeycomb for now. Go ahead and place in the sheet metal single door and bring up the walls 1 layer. For this layer, you're not going to upgrade everything to stone, you're going to upgrade those 2 walls to stone, but these 3 walls here in the back are going to be upgraded to metal. Before you move on to any of the interior, you're going to want to put your ceilings down first. Go ahead and place the ceilings and upgrade them to their corresponding materials. And now your base should be in a spot that looks like this. Now we're going to work on our interior. Go ahead and place in a wall frame there and a sheet metal double door facing inwards. Now you're going to kind of have to maneuver yourself to get a floor split in here. The way I'm doing the floor split is just using a floor frame, like so. Next, we're going to place in our workbench, and it should fit tight and snug right in the top left corner. Make sure you place the floor frame first though. Then you're going to place 2 furnaces, one to the left of the workbench and one to the right. We can also hide a little small box right there and another small box right over here. It's kind of just up to you on how you want to do your utility room. For me, I personally love having a bunch of small boxes simply because it's more prone to organization. General rule, make sure none of the emplacements are touching the door. Next, go ahead and place in these small boxes on top of the little floor frame. Once you're satisfied with your utility room, go ahead and place in a single door right here. Go ahead and rotate it and upgrade it to stone. Then place in a single door, but make sure it does not open towards you. Make sure it opens away from you so you can have your door jump. Next, you're going to place a small box right there, open the door, and use it to get on top of your second floor. Once done, place a triangle ceiling right on top of where you're at right now, splitting the 2 squares, and place a square ceiling to the left of that. Upgrade both of them to stone. Next, we're going to work on our cupboard room. So I'm going to be placing in a pair of salvage shelves. If you don't have salvage shelves, they are very easy to get a hold of. You don't even need the BP. You can find them in barrels. Go ahead and just use a triangle ceiling. You might actually have to remove the door before you place in the salvage shelves because they are quite finicky. Then your next step is just to go to town with your boxes. Then on the floor below, go ahead and pick up all the furnaces and the boxes that you placed in there. I know it takes a lot of motivation, but just go ahead and do it. Now we're going to actually have to set up a square shelf there. So go outside, place a square foundation and a half floor right there, and go back inside and place in another ceiling to split that floor. Upgrade it to wood because it does not need to be any other resource, and place in some boxes on top. Next, get up to your second floor once again, and right on this top right square, we're going to place another set of shelves. So what you're going to do is you're going to place a half wall here and a floor ceiling right there. Remove the half wall, upgrade the ceiling to wood, and place in your boxes like the one on the bottom left. Then place in a single doorway on top of that and upgrade it to stone, place in your sheet metal door, and place in another single doorway right there. And all we should have left to do is just do the honeycomb. Okay, so onto this back. Before you do anything, make sure you place the triangle ceiling right there and upgrade it to metal. This is very important. It plays a huge role in the defenses of the base. Once done, place 2 squares right there, upgrade them to stone. Then you're just going to place in the walls of your honeycomb. These are all going to be stone. They do not need to be metal, but make sure you leave a door for your airlock. Then just cap off your honeycomb, place in a door, and go up to your ceiling. I'm going to fly up there, but you're likely just going to build up there, and place in any missing ceilings that are supposed to be there, such as this triangle right here. From there, we can go ahead and place in our splitters, so basically just 3 low walls in the corresponding areas as shown. Make sure these are upgraded to metal, otherwise they'll be easy to pickaxe down. And anyways guys, that's pretty much it for the base build. So I hope this base tutorial was clear enough for you guys. I spent a lot of time on it, and if you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like because it really does help more than you think. Thank you all so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.